Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Lost and Found with Frankie. And today I have Jenny on, who is a homeopath, and she's actually my homeopath. We speak on my journey with her and how I've gone to her with different physical and emotional things, and how much of a whole body approach homeopathy is to emotional healing and its place in your grief journey and how it can just really help. She gives some insights to natural remedies and things that you can all do at home without going to a homeopath, and all of the positives that come with seeing a homeopath. And just something she leaves us off with, which I just wanted to say, was just get talking, whether that's to a journal, to your friends, or to a stranger. Just get chatting, because the more you get your stuff out, the better you'll feel. So thank you so much for being here with me today, and let's get into it. Hello, and welcome to Lost and Found with Frankie, a podcast for young adults and teens who are just trying to figure out who they are whilst dealing with one of life's most devastating experiences, grief. I'm Frankie, and 10 years ago, when I was 13 years old, I lost my eldest brother, Matt. Like you're probably feeling now, I felt lost, alone, angry, and completely overwhelmed with sadness, and was just craving a space where I could go and feel comforted and understood. So this podcast is my way of creating that space for you, whilst opening up the taboo topic of grief, which so many of us experience. So if you're feeling lost on your journey with grief, hi, and welcome to this safe space. Thank you so much for being here with me today. You are not alone, and I hope that this podcast brings whatever it is that you're seeking on your journey. So let's get into it. Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. Today, I have lovely Jenny on. Jenny is a homeopath. I have been so excited to do this episode. I think it is just going to be so enriching with information for everyone listening on how to heal our bodies, whether that's going to see a homeopath or natural things we can do at home. So thank you so much for coming on, Jenny. This is so exciting for me and it means the world that you're here.
Thank you for asking me.
How are you today?
I am very good, thank you.
Energy good?
Very good. Yeah, energy good. Sun's shining outside.
Love it.
All good.
I know it is, isn't it? And we're
Beautiful day, and we're in a dark room.
We'll be out there soon. So I guess where to start with homeopathy is, I guess, what is homeopathy? Because a lot of people will be listening and being like, sounds cool. What is it? I guess if you can just give a general overview of homeopathy to start with, and then we can go from there.
So homeopathy is a form of natural medicine that is working on the whole body. So although somebody might come with 1-2 symptoms, we look at the whole of their body. And just because you present, say, with a headache or stomach upset, doesn't mean that somebody else could come with the same issue, but for completely different reasons. So we're working on what's called the vital force. So in Chinese medicine, that would be called your qi. You know, that's often quite a good way of explaining it to people. So it's that bit of you where you know it's off. So somebody else could look at you and think, oh, they look fine. They look, no problem. But actually, you just don't feel yourself. And we work to make sure that the vital force is as strong as it can be. Then that protects your immune system. It protects your mental health, your nervous system, and helps you stay strong.
So almost like a complete whole body approach.
Absolutely.
Is paramount.
Yes.
Okay. And how did you stumble across homeopathy in your personal journey? And what do you think you gravitated towards homeopathy?
So I didn't stumble across it. I was treated homeopathically since I was a small child. I had whooping cough when I was 3. And my parents took me to a homeopath and she sorted me out. And that's the way that we've generally done medicine ever since, unless it's been emergency things, A&E, that kind of thing. But anything that people would see a GP or, their sort of private family doctor, we saw our homeopath. And I loved my homeopath's little clinic that she had. I loved all her bottles, her books. I love the way that she spoke to us. It was quite a shock the first time I went to the GP and they weren't interested, that my sore throat was much better if I put a scarf on. They did not seem to care. But obviously a homeopath is interested in all those very small details.
Yeah.
So that was what really excited me about homeopathy. And at about sort of 17, 18, I said to her, I'd really like to do this. And she said, go off, have some adventures, come back. And if you still want to do it, I'll tell you how to, find a college and what you need to do. And I went off, had some adventures, as she rightly said. And I came back and then I started training as a homeopath. Yeah.
Wow.
So when I was 29, I went off to homeopathic college and I graduated at 32 and I have not looked back
since.
Yeah.
Wow. So like homeopathy has been pretty much in your whole life.
It has.
In many different forms,
it has.
Obviously.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
That's such an incredible story that like it's not as well something you've stumbled across later. It was something that's actually just been embedded within you and something you've always wholeheartedly believed in, and it works.
You're living proof.
I am living proof. Sat here right now, my bright yellow jumper radiating positivity.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, how incredible. So from that, if you can't tell, Jenny is my homeopath, and has been since I was like
in your early teens.
Yeah, it would have been around when Matt passed away.
It was, yes.
Hence
you coming to see me.
Yeah.
So I think I saw your mum first.
Yes.
Then you.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
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 And something I think that I always found with our sessions. So I'll ask in a minute like what people like would be expecting from a session, because I think when you talk about different types of healing, everyone's always like, yeah, but maybe quite nervous to go, and like what will that entail?
Yeah.
Do I sit and lie on a bed, or do I sit down and do we talk? And something I loved is I'm a big talker, as we all know, but I would go, and I think this is like a real life experience of like how homeopathy works, in a sense of like how I've experienced it is I would go and I would just chat to you pretty much. We would just have a nice chat, and you would figure stuff out about what I'm saying to you that I just wouldn't even connect the dots at all. And I'd go and be like, oh, I've got this rash on my hands, or this ache and pain here, or this sore throat won't go. Over the years, all of those have happened. And you'd go, okay, but what's going on at school at the minute? Or emotionally, I had stuff with the family, or like, where are you at with Matt at the minute? And you would connect those dots. And I'm probably not explaining it.
I think you're explaining it beautifully. And it's interesting for me to hear you explaining it, because I don't often get people tell me how they felt.
And it was incredible, because I would just go and it wouldn't feel like you were drawing anything specific out of me. Like it was my time and my space to go, well, I've actually come because I've got this rash, so I'm coming to heal the rash. But then it's like, but to heal the rash, what else is going on? What's emotionally going on, mentally, spiritually?
Yeah.
And I think that proves this like whole body, mind, body, soul approach is so paramount, that emotions can so easily manifest in physical.
They can. And they
ways.
Do. They do. Our bodies are very, very clever, and they give the messages from our minds in symptoms.
Yeah. And the intellect behind, like your intellect is just outstanding. Like you'll link, like, I don't know what all links, but like certain parts of the physical body link to emotions. So things like that. For example, like when I had my rash under my armpits here, that was like, okay, well, that's linking to a physical, like an emotional emotion.
Yeah.
It was a while ago now, so I actually can't remember what it
was. Irritating, wasn't it? So you were irritated.
Yeah. And it all makes sense, but I just think obviously in everyone's everyday life, you just wouldn't sit down and put two and two together, because you always think to yourself, well, why would they link? They're so...
And in fairness, I don't. So I have a homeopath, because we all have parts of ourselves we can't see. The analogy I always use is you can get up in the morning, get dressed, think, I look great. And you look in the mirror, you turn around and your skirt's tucked into your knickers. You have no idea. And it's that bit of you that you can't see that's usually the crux of what you need to heal.
Yeah.
You need to get yourself better.
100%. And that's a really interesting point that you have your own homeopath.
I do. My rule in my house is if you have a cough, a cold, a stomach bug, or a sort of immediate acute injury, I will help you. Anything else,
you need to go to someone else because they
will see
you're
you.
too close almost.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Emotionally like intertwined.
That's right.
Which makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And like something I also want to say is anyone listening who maybe it's like a friend of someone who's grieving, because obviously we're talking about grief and we'll get onto that. But homeopathy can help with literally any emotion, everything, every physical thing. I had a remedy for my A-levels.
You did.
And it worked.
Get you through.
And it worked because I was so stressed, so anxious. I had like a back spasm like 2 weeks before do you remember?
I do.
2 weeks before, and you were just literally like, this is just your
body
tense
is gone.
stress.
Yeah, stress.
And it all makes sense. But yeah, like you can literally have it for anything.
You can.
But I guess from that, I've just said remedy.
Yes.
Homeopathy, we've got a beautiful understanding of what it is. How does it work? So maybe let's start with, I guess, go through the stages. Someone comes in to you. What would a normal, I've given a little bit of a description, but like what would a normal first session, if someone's like, oh, I'm curious, but nervous or skeptical, what would like that first session with you look like?
So first session would be a lot of questions. A lot of questions that you would find very relevant to your current state of health, and questions that you might think, why on earth is she asking me that? But it all helps me, as Frankie rightly said, join the dots.
Yeah.
At the end of that first session, you would go away with your homeopathic remedies. So they are going to basically do your homework for you. So you'd go off with those, take those as prescribed. And then if you feel that it's relevant to follow up, that's great. If you feel actually, this has got me to a much better place and this has got me to where I need to be, crack on. If you're feeling good, I probably can't make you feel any better.
Nice. I like that sentiment. And like that's nice as well that like you can just have one session.
You can. And often with things like sort of stress and immediate events, often that is what happens. People have that first initial session and I might not actually see them for maybe 6 months. And then it's then a new stage of grief or trauma comes through and that's when they come back.
Yeah. So on that, how have you found in your like professional experience that homeopathy has aided and supported people going through grief?
So I find it is very helpful with grief. There are remedies you can use in the moment. So for instance, we have grief we're expecting, don't we? We know someone's going to pass and we're, able to almost sort of feel that in some way. So there are remedies to help with the trauma of gradual loss. There are remedies to help when people suddenly are no longer with us in an unexplained, unexpected death. There are then remedies that you can use at funerals as well. So I'll give you an example of this. My best friend, she passed away and I was reading at her funeral. I wrote a poem. I read my poem. I engaged eye contact with every member of her family while I was reading. And that was all through using a remedy called sandalwood that just grounded me and enabled me to have that strength to do that in the moment. Get through that day, and cope and feel that I was a useful presence and being a good friend, honouring her, and then allowing what came afterwards to come. And so there's remedies for funerals, there's remedies for grief that's been and gone years before that's maybe been suppressed. Often people do suppress grief. They don't have the time to deal with it. Maybe they just can't face it. It's just too painful. Or, they've got small children, they've got a very demanding job. It's like, well, when am I supposed to do this sort of grief stuff? How's that supposed to happen? And then maybe, they lose their job, the children grow up, and suddenly the grief is overwhelming.
Yeah, because it's been shoved in this box, but over years. So
absolutely,
you almost, as you just said, like a little bit earlier, like going through those phases, someone comes back 6 months later with a different, either physical or emotional thing. But that person who's bottled it has gone through those phases but never addressed it. So it's almost like there's all those different things that they should have experienced and let themselves feel there. And like that must be a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot. And, you often find that with, it can be women who've had sort of multiple miscarriages, things like that. It doesn't actually catch up with them until maybe they've got their children, and then their children have sort of grown up a little bit, and then it all becomes overwhelming and hits them. Grief is one of those things, or loss is one of those things that we can't always do it on our schedule. It comes at us at times when it's, there's a lot on our plates.
Yeah.
And it's not surprising that people do suppress it because it's unpleasant.
Yeah.
But it's more unpleasant when you suppress it.
Yeah, in the long run.
Yeah, and it's damaging as well. If we hold on to trauma, that's when we see a lot more physical manifestation of grief than we see in the moment.
Yeah.
People deal with things in the moment while they're happening.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I have found on my journey, I don't know if you would agree with this, but I always find that I'll have a physical thing, but it will then always, then when I then come to you and I realise, oh, maybe this is my grief popping up after a year or whatever again. And I have it's almost like I find my physical now sometimes then trigger my emotional and make me realise, oh, okay, I haven't thought about this, or I haven't given it this, as we've just said, the time that it needs in a while. I've been really busy. I've been, when I was at school with A-levels, just didn't give it the time, and then something physical would come up and I'd be like, it's almost sometimes becomes a reminder for me almost, because mine's a lot of the time skin.
Yes, yours is.
My skin is very
a lot of skin.
Sensitive and reactive. But yeah, I don't know if that's something that you find in other people, or if I've even got that right. And not that there is a right and a wrong, but
I think it can go either way, can't it? It's a real chicken and egg. Some people, one of the very common reactions with grief is lung complaints. Yeah. So chest infections, pleurisy, bronchitis, pneumonia, those sorts of things manifesting, say, the winter after loss. That's a very common reaction. And when those things come up, we hold grief in our lungs. If you think about, we cry when we're upset, when we're sad, when we've suffered a loss, and our eyes, our sinuses, all of that, it releases from the lungs, so it's a real sort of circuitry release.
Yeah.
And as people start to sort of face their loss and, we come into winter, there's coughs and colds flying around, they can often really struggle that first winter. And that's very, very normal. Yeah. But it's also recognizing that this is grief. It's part of the picture, part of the pattern. And actually, once they realize that, oh, okay, it's not just me, I'm not just my immune system, not just a weakness, they actually start to process better with that loss.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting being it is the chicken and the egg almost with physical and emotional, because technically you'd never be able to get to the crux of that, I guess, because when I have physical symptoms, it's probably my emotional causing the physical, but then the physical reminds me of the emotional. So it is that weird sort of tumbling circle effect.
Yeah, and I think too, that's people do then realise and think, oh gosh, as like you say with skin, I mean, skin is one of those things you can't ignore because you can see it all the time. So whether it's eczema, psoriasis, dermatitis, various rashes, you're constantly being reminded of it. And I do have a little mantra in my practice that is, itchy people and dizzy people have to be seen first. Yeah. People in pain will wait for you, but itchy people and dizzy people, they are frustrated and cross. Yeah. I think you know this, don't you, Frankie?
Yeah.
They've had enough and they need to be at the front of the queue. So anybody who's itchy or dizzy always gets preferential treatment. And, with anything that, physical manifesting through grief, it will usually go to our weakest spot.
Okay.
So, for instance, if you always suffered with IBS, food allergies, stomach problems, and you're bereaved, the chances are that's where it's going to go.
Okay.
Same with sore throats, headaches, panic attacks, anxiety, sleeplessness. They are going to be your weak spots. If they were previously, this is where it's going to hit you.
That makes sense as well, because that's almost where you're most vulnerable.
It is, exactly. And if I know that of someone, I try to field it with the remedy choices I make. So if I've been seeing someone for a few years and then they have a sudden loss, it's like, right, okay, we need to deal with the grief, but what we also need to do is make sure that we support your back, because that's likely to go if we, if we don't figure that into
because that's where it's falling
the
through.
remedies. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I actually never even had thought about that before. That's really clever, and like makes total sense, like it always does. So we're speaking a lot about remedies.
Yes.
So what is a remedy, I guess? Like,
so homeopathic remedies are made from extremely diluted substances that we'll all be very familiar with.
Yeah.
So for instance, we have a remedy for bee stings that's made out of bee sting, but it's a very dilute form of bee sting that helps relieve the discomfort, the irritation, the inflammation, the redness, the soreness. So that will calm the body down. So that's always quite a good example. Another one might be, we have one made from onions, from red onions, called allium cepa. And allium cepa is very good for colds or hay fever, where there's sort of runny nose, stinging eyes, those sorts of symptoms that you get with cutting an onion. So you use those to relieve those symptoms. But we have thousands of remedies, thousands of them. We have plants, we have animals, we have minerals, and we have what's called imponderables. So we have things like sunlight, moonlight to treat certain conditions. Sunlight will treat sunburn. Moonlight will treat, these poor people that are up all night every time there's a full moon. It will help to calm them down.
Yeah. And the forms that they come in obviously vary as well.
Yeah, so I prescribe them either in little tiny tablets, which just go under your tongue and just taste, of nothing.
They don't,
no taste at all. Or I put remedies into what's called a water potency, which is about 1/8 vodka, 7/8 water, and then a pill in there in a little dropper bottle.
Nice.
Yeah.
They're great. You can't, they don't really taste of anything, which is the best part.
Because, often medication definitely has a taste. Herbs can have very strong tastes and flavours that people sometimes don't like. For taking tinctures and that kind of delivery system. So with homeopathy, it's very, very kind on your body.
Yeah.
Completely, inert and just, nothing.
I've got little
offensive.
like vials of the. It always sounds worse. It always sounds so funny when I say little white pills.
Yeah, little white pills.
They're everywhere.
Little white pills. They are everywhere. They're everywhere in my house.
Everywhere. And I find them. Literally. And I find them everywhere. And I'm like, I wonder what this one was for. Because honestly, like, I'm 23 now. It would have been about 10 years.
It has,
since I've been seeing you. And there's been a lot of...
There's been a lot of little white pills.
There's been a lot of little white pills. A lot of little... bottles of
lots of bottles. And whenever you come, you will get new remedies, and if you do get the same remedy, chances are we've gone up in potency, so you'll still get a new bottle. So there's always something to leave with, and that's one thing I do love with homeopathy. With a lot of therapies, talking therapies, I'm sort of really speaking about here. You don't leave with anything. You might leave with, maybe consider journaling about that, or having that conversation with that certain person. But you don't leave with something to take. And that sort of reminder every day or every week that, as you're taking that little pill or taking that liquid remedy, that this is what this is all about. It's to help with that situation.
And you're putting yourself first you're taking those.
Absolutely.
And almost like making yourself, as I always say, like mindset is so important with things like this, with any illness, with any... whatever the treatment is, having that mindset of like, I want this to work for me.
Yeah.
Then taking the remedies, whether that's 3 times a day, once a week, every Sunday, whatever it is, you're already making the steps to put your emotions and your physical health first.
You are, but
I completely get what you mean. The tangible steps once you leave a session.
Exactly. And what I love about homeopathy is it's not about taking a pill to get rid of the symptoms. It's about taking something that will work a little bit like stabilizers when you're learning to ride a bike. So you don't really know they're there.
No.
And one day they're gone. And then after that, you're doing it all by yourself. And you had no idea that you were able to cope and to manage. But yet your body has remembered old patterns of wellness and mental strength that it had previously forgotten.
Yeah. So true. I really like that analogy. It's a really nice way to think about it. Like the stabilizer wheels just come off, but you don't take them off.
No.
They just go one day and then you're cycling.
Yeah, and you're doing it all on your own. And you could suddenly go, oh my goodness, I feel like my old self again.
Yeah. And yeah, you are so right. But I get with the whole leaving a session almost with something, but you've also had a session where you've spoken so much. I definitely always felt like I had got a lot off my chest. I always felt lighter just from the speaking. And then I was like, I always left feeling like, right, cool, I've got these remedies. I've got like a path now leaving Jenny's that I'm like, yeah, I'm set. I'm going to sort this out. And it's always, let's get to the root cause.
Exactly.
Yes, the root?
Exactly. And I like to, when people leave with the remedies, or if I see them online, I write them a letter. And I'm often very kind of clear on, this is what we're doing. This is to do. You know, this is what we need this remedy to do.
Yeah. And exactly. The transparency.
So, yes.
This is, you're taking this amount of times because we're treating this.
Exactly. Yeah. And you always know what your remedy is.
Yeah.
Generally, I'll read something to you regarding it and why you're taking it and what we want it to do, how we want it to work. And also, you know, a time frame that if things aren't feeling right, you know, particularly if you're itchy, within a couple of days, you got to get back in touch. You know, let me know.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're still in discomfort, let's change the remedy. Maybe we need to increase the potency.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to look at something different. You know, so we always make sure that you're comfortable.
Always. And something I love about it is the transparency and like the complete openness. As you say, of like, there's no like, I have to wait until the next appointment. Like, as you say, like 3 days down the line, you're still itchy people, come first. And usually that's me. Mine's either like itchy, migraine or sore throat or like skin.
None of those things are pleasant. And you know, you don't want them hanging around or coming back. But equally, they have popped up to tell you something.
Yeah.
So as long as you've got the message and you're acting on it, they should go away.
Yeah, exactly that. But yeah, and I always found, as I said, like I loved both aspects of what homeopathy is the conversational side of it feels just so like normal and like chilled and you're just catching up on life. But things obviously then prop up and then you're connecting those dots and then you walk away like you almost get like a physical and an emotional connection in a homeopathy session.
Yes, I would agree.
Which I love.
The whole of you is treated.
Whole bodily approach, people. This is what we're...
And likewise, if somebody comes solely for their mental health, I don't ignore the physical.
No, exactly.
I always ask them about their body, you know, how they feel, their weaknesses and their health, you know. And sometimes, you know, with mental health, we can be so detached from our physical body that actually that's quite a big deal to check back in with ourselves and think, oh, yeah, I have sore legs quite a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Or, you know, I do actually need the loo a lot, you know, whatever it might be, you know, because there's been such dissociation.
Yeah. And that's so true that it can go both ways. It can come for emotional or physical.
Yeah.
And they both end up usually
tying in,
intertwining, as always, because our bodies are one.
They are.
Have you got any remedies or, you know, I guess natural substances or anything that people listening who, you know, don't have the accessibility of going to a homeopath that they can do at home and get from a natural shop near them?
Yes, absolutely. So if you are in a sort of quite acute bereaved state, there's a remedy called Ignatia, which is Ignatia. Ignatia is brilliant for helping in those sort of initial stages of grief. If you're in shock, there is aconite, which is again very, very good to take at those sort of first stages. If things are lingering, going on, you probably do need to see somebody to help you unpick all of the trauma that's been suppressed or, you know, feelings that have been suppressed. The other remedy you can get very easily is one of the Bach flower essences, which is called Star of Bethlehem. Star of Bethlehem's beautiful, and that will be incredibly supportive around grief and sort of acute understanding of how to sort of work through and support yourself. You can also give all of those very safely to children, also animals, because sometimes if somebody's been living with an animal and their animal and their owner passes away, the animal's bereft. And just popping any of those things in their water bowl will help. And likewise, if you lose a pet and you've got other pets and the pets are sad, you can give it for that too.
Exactly.
So
pets can have heartbreak.
Pets do get heartbroken. Yeah. So there are so many things. If you're sort of struggling to sleep, there's lots of sleep teas that are brilliant for helping with sleep. Post-grief, things like valerian, passion flower, they will all help to calm the nervous system. Lemon balm is another brilliant one. And obviously making sure that if you're not eating, just try and at least eat something, and with it take something like Floridix, which is just a brilliant tonic that will just help to sustain your body through something difficult.
Yeah, and it's nice to know that, as you say, especially with the more acute, like head-on experiences, that there are things that people can do off their own back and look after themselves at home before potentially, as you say, the longer it goes on, maybe seeing somebody to talk through more of the journey and, as you say, connecting the dots, because that's obviously something that I wouldn't be able to do that.
None of us can do it for ourselves.
No.
We can't.
Exactly.
It's a really tricky thing to do. And we can have ideas. We thought, I think that I'm a bit off because of this. But actually, sitting down with someone, really understanding ourselves and hearing ourselves is so important.
You need a sounding board almost, like to bounce these experiences that you're having off of.
Yes.
Which is really powerful.
Yeah.
So in talking of like things people can do, something I did want to ask you, because when I've more recently, when I would come to you, you also have your bed.
I do.
So how does that intertwine with your homeopathy sessions?
So that's quite different. So what I do with I do sound healing, I do crystal healing as well. Crystals. You love the crystals.
I love the crystals.
And so that's kind of a separate and add-on, if you like. So I do see people I just do healing, and then I see other people I just offer homeopathy, and then I see people where it's a full treatment. And that's actually the bulk of my work. Is most people come for that lovely, it's 2 hours, 2-hour session, sort of about an hour talking, hour on the bed. Is kind of how it works out. And it's a really lovely way to work. And also I can pick up quite a lot more through somebody when they're not talking. As to when they are, I get different information, if you like, back from their body. So I use a lot of tuning forks. So I remove blockages, make sure that their nutrition's good, that they're eating right for their body. There's nothing that's sort of commonly around them that's irritating them in some way, causing an allergy. Really sort of check in with more of their subconscious and find out exactly what's going on.
And I love that. I loved when you brought the bed in. I remember the first one. And I think I actually came in, it was winter, and you just have this biggest blanket. And it lies over you and it's so heavy. And then it's just bliss. Because also, you're so right. Like, I think coming, and especially if you're going with grief and trauma to a homeopathy session, it's a lot to sit there and talk about it. And obviously, a lot of the time, people aren't talking about the grief or the trauma they've experienced the whole time. They go on, this is happening at work, or this is happening with my partner, or I've got this achy pain. But it always then you usually end up getting there, and it's heavy stuff to talk about. So then I guess having that full 2-hour session, and then when you lie on the bed, it's almost like, okay, now take whatever information you can from me naturally without me telling you, because both are important. Like,
both are very important. And actually I always find that it gives me a greater insight into the person in front of me doing that deeper work.
Definitely. And in all of like your years of homeopathy, do you have like a particular success story? I don't really know if I like that wording, but just like someone or an experience you've had with a patient where you're really like, it's almost even stunned you how incredible homeopathy is, of like, wow, with grief potentially.
Grief. Okay, I have, grief still. I have a few. I mean, Frankie, you're one of them. I've got to say, you have worked incredibly hard to keep yourself buoyant. And, what you went through was very, very difficult. And, at an age where you should not have a care in the world.
Yeah.
And yet, life forced you to grow up very quickly and face some really adult stuff, and also go through a school system that did not support you. So every day you were going in, expected to be at your lessons at your desk, not to be triggered by anything that was said in lessons. And that was incredibly unfair. And yet, you have thrived. You really have. And you have gone on a, that word journey, but, a really enlightening journey. And what, when I see people, I always take from that, that sort of wow, that real accomplishment that they've made to overcome their trauma, their resilience, their strength. And, I know you've got your mum and dad and you've got your brother and sister, but you do it on your own. They've done it on their own.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, isn't it? With that sort of work, is there's nobody there to do it for you.
No.
Got to do it yourself.
Yeah. And I think that can be incredibly daunting.
Yes.
But I think things like what we are talking about are those things you could, because going to a homeopath or seeking out a natural remedy, you're doing that for yourself.
Yeah.
You've already put yourself forward, but allowing yourself to just have that extra little bit of support that then you go away with, and you've got, a future, it's looking a bit brighter. This is what I'm going to do to help myself and help the different physical and emotional things I'm feeling. As you say, like, you have to do it on your own, but there are things out there.
There
to support
guidance.
You
yeah.
along that journey, along your personal individual journey. Because, like, yes, I've done it alone, but it's been much easier with coming to see you, because I've been through so many different phases of my grief and of my life.
Yes.
And then they intertwine and sometimes don't intertwine at all. And they go like this sometimes, and then sometimes they go,
yes.
Yeah, we're fitting together at the moment. Like now, for example, the stage that I'm at with my life and in my grief are sort of going,
yeah.
But for a while they went.
But that's it. You've made that happen.
Yeah.
And I think too, what the way that I look at the situations in clinic is, you hear really sad stories, and, of course, to do what I do, there has to be a level of empathy. And I look at those sad stories and I always think, should the worst ever happen, I've had some incredible shining lights in my clinic that will, that give me that hope that, we can overcome the most horrendous things in life.
Yeah.
We really can.
We can. We all can. Like anyone listening, like you will get through it. It's the wrong word, because I don't think there's ever like an end.
No.
There is no end to grief. But you can support yourself in like bringing light back into your life and not having it be filled with darkness.
And you learn to carry it, don't you, in a certain way that doesn't impact your life.
Yeah, 100%. You've just also said, something I've just picked up on is, obviously you get a lot of people coming to you with a lot of emotional trauma, grief, rejection. I can imagine probably a plethora
heartbreak,
of everything,
breakup,
lots of things. How do you? Because I guess you have to probably separate yourself as like from professional homeopath Jenny and Jenny, the person. How do you find that? So obviously you have your own homeopath. Do you find you go to them with sometimes what you carry being a homeopath yourself?
Occasionally I do. This might actually sound quite heartless, and it's not meant that way, but as soon as somebody has left my clinic, I don't give their prescription a second thought.
Mhm.
I will give them a second thought here and there. I think, I hope they're doing all right. Or I haven't heard from them. I hope hope they're all okay. And generally, life is great, which is why I, haven't heard from them. Because I do say to people, if things aren't good, just get straight back in touch. But if everything's all right, then go, just enjoy yourself. And I don't tend to sort of wallow in what's gone.
Yeah. Wow.
Because I'm on to the next one.
You've not got time.
And yes, I have heard things that have been incredibly upsetting, and I have needed to go somewhere with those stories. And my homeopath is brilliant help and aid in those times. But for the majority of days, it is just that right on to the next.
Well, it's your job and it's your everyday, and there is that separation. But yeah, I can just imagine that potentially some specific things can maybe also potentially trigger you.
Absolutely.
You've got your life that you're living, and like, as you say, like you've suffered your own grief.
Yeah.
So I can imagine things trigger that for you, and you've got your own emotions that you need to have boundaries on.
Definitely.
In those times. But as you say, empathy is also like a massive key part.
Yes. And
a part of
it's
homeopathy.
A big part. And I guess also I am a big, I don't know whether the right word really is pray, because I'm not really putting it out to anyone in particular. But what I will do is I will go out in nature and I will just download. So I just talk through my day, and I will just sort of let it all come out. And then it's like, right, that's done. If I have been triggered by something, that's what I will go and do.
No, like a download almost. Do you journal?
I do sometimes. I find journaling is one of those things that if you're in the mood to do it, it's beautiful and it will flow, and you can really, and you read it back and you think, wow, I'm so wise. I know all these things, and then other times you can think, I'll do some journaling on that, and it doesn't come, so I don't do it. I'm not one who will force myself to do things because it's sort of supposed to work, or it's what everyone else is doing.
Yeah. I think that's a good...
It has its place.
Yeah, 100%. And I think like journaling, as you say, like quite right, it's definitely, I think, become more of a thing over the past years of like, everyone should journal, download. But I think something as well that I think is important to point out is, but remember that your journaling is your journal. Do with it what you want. So for some people that means they have to journal once every day. Some people it might be once a year. Like I think sometimes there can be a pressure then of, oh my God, I didn't journal today.
Yeah, so it becomes a problem.
And then it becomes a negative. And it's like, no, your journaling is meant to be a positive and a positive only. And it's meant to be a download and a time to like almost like let those thoughts and emotions escape a little bit onto a piece of paper. But don't ever let it become like a negative thing of like, I didn't do it today and now I'm such a failure because I didn't do it. Like that, I've started journaling very recently, just very spontaneously, to be honest. I have had a journal sat by my bed for about a year. I haven't touched it. Have started actually weirdly in the past like 2 weeks. I think I've done it twice, but it's just been at times where I'm like, I feel really in the mood to journal.
Yeah.
And it comes out and like, it's always in a different person, like third person, first person. Doesn't make any sense. It wouldn't make sense to anyone reading it. But I almost think that's like the beauty of journaling. Yeah. It's literally where it's meant to go. So yeah.
I do wonder too, with the popularity or sort of expectation of journaling has come also alongside a time that people don't communicate with each other. And that actually if you get around a table with your best friend or your partner or your mom or your cousin or whoever you love to have a conversation with, you don't need to journal, and it's the lack of community that I think brings that in, that need. It goes alongside communication, person to person, face to face has gone down, and journaling is on the increase. I think it's because people do need to get stuff off their chest.
Yes, yeah. And I feel like actually a reason I didn't journal for so long was because I just chat to anyone who will listen, like friends, family, boyfriend. Like I get that. what I would write down in a journal, I say to them.
Exactly.
Like I'm not, and sometimes it's never usually been a downfall, but obviously at times, like, you know, I can talk a little bit too much. Like sometimes it's like, okay, Frankie. But like, that's something I will have never shied away from in my journey, is just like saying what I'm thinking, saying what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And it does, the effect that has is massive, because then when I have had times where I haven't felt comfortable to speak, is always when it manifests in a different way.
Yeah.
And I become almost like blocked.
Yes. And that's really unhealthy, isn't it?
Yeah, because you're not getting it out.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
usually then that would mean like at school all the time, sore throat.
Yeah.
Don't know if that, but sounds to me like it.
Well, yeah, because you weren't able to speak up.
Yeah. And it all makes so much sense. Like when you actually break down the link between the emotional and the physical. And I think it's definitely becoming more spoken about.
Yes.
Which I'm so happy about. Because I feel incredibly lucky that my mum brought me to you all those years ago. Honestly, like I have not looked back and have been very lucky that I have only really seen you for anything physical, emotional. I've said on here before that I did try counselling like 6 months in, but I was just, it was too soon. I was still in a state of shock and just like wasn't ready for that. And I haven't gone back to counselling. It's something I think about from time to time, but I think I've had like a form of counselling in you. Like it's not counselling, but it's like I've had that form of just getting stuff off my chest with someone who's listening to me, but also I know is listening to me intuitively and with almost like an outcome to come from it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just think like what I would take away from that is that whether it's journal or speaking to someone, just get your stuff out. Don't hold it in.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And also, you know, with your journaling, I think it's quite important to read back, and then you can see how far you've come and think, oh, I don't feel like that anymore. Or did I really feel like that? Why did I write that? Because you've moved on. And it, you know, it is that old sort of adage of, you know, that we say, you know, we should be embarrassed of who we were before, because if we're not, we haven't grown. And if you read back through a journal, you think, oh my goodness me. Like, yes, because you've grown up, or you've moved forward, or you're not taking this personally now. You know, this is something that a lot of people do, is they take everything so personally, and it's very rarely about you.
Yeah, this are so true. And I say it to people all the time. I'm like, most people's actions, unless you have blatantly offended someone or like slapped them around the face and they react badly to you, most people's reaction in everyday life, especially if you don't know them, especially if you do know them, is usually to do with them.
Yeah,
it's something that's going on with them.
Nothing to do with you.
So just acknowledge it. Hey, let it in, let it go, let it pass.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
And I just think, I just, if we all did things like this, life would just be, and I know it's hard. It's so hard to speak sometimes. And I know I'm saying, get it off your chest. But that's why I'm saying, like, if speaking's then not for you, use the journal. If the journal's not for you, find a friend, find a family member.
That's right.
Find a stranger.
Yeah.
Just chat to them. Get it out whichever way, because I was about to say better out than in, but that's a bit gross.
I wish I'd been as wise as you at 23.
Yeah.
You have a real wisdom, Frankie. You know, you are, you're an old soul.
I do get told this sometimes.
Yeah.
And I'll take it. Do you know what? I had a chat with my mum recently, and we were saying everyone today hates taking compliments. Everyone's so awkward at taking compliments. And I feel like we should all be so much better at just being like,
we should.
Thank you.
We should.
That's not, no, I'm not. Where is this negative? Just
because
I
think
that
I remember paying a compliment to a woman. I'd gone to have my hair cut, and there was a lady in the chair next to me. She had this amazing dress on. I said, your dress is fabulous. She went, oh my goodness, thank you. Thank you so much. She said, I work in an office full of women. She said, no one would ever say anyone looks great.
Weird.
It's like,
it's
that's
odd, isn't
so
it?
wrong. We used to champion each other all the time.
Yeah.
Compliments should be free-flowing, not disingenuous, but free-flowing. They don't
just
cost
say
anything.
it.
They don't take any time. They just take a little bit of thought.
And I honestly, I find sometimes especially with things like that, it always slips out with me. Like I'll see someone wearing something and they just look so fab, and sometimes it comes out and I think I'm actually saying it to myself, but I end up saying it out loud. I'm like, my God, she looks great. And sometimes people will hear me and they'll turn around and be like, thank you. And I'm like, my God, did I just say that?
Yeah, I'll compliment
I
people
love
that
it.
I see in the street. I mean, I think also because, having the shop, you get people come in and you go, oh, I love your coat, or, whatever it might be, just have a little chat with them. And it's a genuine, I love your coat.
Yeah.
You look great. I remember we used to have this one customer, she did not have any sort of dark, black, navy, grey coats, anything like that. She'd always have coral, pink, red, orange. She looked amazing. And so every time I was like, that's a great coat. That's, so I always compliment people, always.
Yeah. We should all do it more.
So
and
easy.
And if you get complimented, take it.
Yes, definitely.
You don't have to be like, no, I'm not. No, it isn't.
Oh,
be like,
thank you. Goes a long way.
So much. That's so kind of you to say that. Thank you.
Yeah, it does.
But you're going to make each other's day.
That's
also,
right.
Then when you compliment someone sometimes and then they go, no, I'm not, you're then sort of like,
you
okay.
You are?
Yeah. And then it's like, yeah. Oh, okay. Cool. I'll walk on then. Do you know what I mean? Then just say thank you, because then both people in that exchange will be happy.
Exactly.
Just nice.
Totally agree.
I love it. That was a very random.
It was, wasn't it?
Non-homeopathy
It's a really important message, though.
Yeah.
Compliments. More of them.
I wondered, this is, I guess all of these have been questions from me, but a very one I've always wondered. Do you think there are like particular, this could very much be a no, so if it's a no, just tell me, but do you think there are particular signs within people who are going through trauma or grieving that you can spot out and be like, you need to see a homeopath, or like you should see me almost?
You should just get help is what I would say. It's find somebody who can help you. I think often negative behaviour. So people where you compliment them and they say, no, I'm not. Well, maybe you need some working on your self-esteem and your confidence and things like that. I think energy levels are a big giveaway.
Yeah.
People are very, very tired all the time. If people aren't taking care of themselves, their diet's really bad, but they know better. They know better. They're perfectly capable of looking after themselves a better way. Addiction, that's not necessarily, sort of particularly deep rooted, but it's more, let's say, going out every weekend, drinking a lot, that kind of thing, So it's like, what are you hiding behind?
What are the habits?
Want to just have a weekend at home, on the sofa, or paint your spare room, or whatever you need to do. So those sorts of things too, I would definitely say they are triggers. And also constant illness. People go from one cold to the next, one cold sore, one ear infection, it constantly goes round and round. And especially at times of year when you're looking around thinking, I don't know anybody else who's actually poorly, because the sun's out, everyone's feeling great, and they're sick again. So there's probably a reason why. The root cause, once again, the root
always
cause
comes back to the root.
It does always come back to the root cause.
Always.
Yeah.
And I guess like we've spoken about like what a session would look like and exactly the remedies that you give and how homeopathy can help. But I guess like two questions in one. What would you say to someone who's like listening to this and they're curious, interested, but skeptical, nervous to give homeopathy a try? And then I guess like more general advice for people and just advice to go on from listening to this on.
So most homeopaths will offer you a free, sort of 10, 15-minute call, so you can sort of talk through whether they're the right fit for you. Obviously, it is personality based. We get on very well, Frankie, but I'm not everyone's cup of tea. And that's absolutely fine. I say it how it is. I don't mince my words. You know this. I'm direct.
Yeah. But you're warm.
I try to be.
You are.
I hope I am.
Yeah, you are definitely warm and welcoming and secure. And I feel safe there. But I think you need both. Like I feel warm and safe, but I'm also like, you're not messing about here. Like you're here to fix me.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I don't, if there's things that need to change, I will be vocal about those changes that need to be made. And I don't want to rush people. I don't want to push them, but I do sometimes think, we become our own worst enemy because we're not, there's only so much you can do with, external influence. There has to be a lot of internal influence as well.
Definitely.
So as I said, a lot of homeopaths will offer you sort of 10-15 minute call, just, have a little chat through, ask them how they work, ask them if they have other skills that they offer as well. Some homeopaths also kinesiologists, so they can muscle test you for certain foods and allergens to find out whether there are things that are disagreeing with you in your diet. Some are nutritionists. I know homeopaths who are also healers like me, who do Reiki and that kind of thing, and encourage that sort of innate internal healing in their patients. And then I guess advice alongside would really be just to take the best care of yourself that you're able to. If you see that something's not right, or somebody points out to you, you out a lot of the weekends, or, is everything okay? Just don't take it as a bit of a diss. Take it as okay, I need to look at myself. And by doing that, there are so many changes that we can all make, just small changes. Get outside every day.
Get your feet on the ground.
Start reading a book rather than picking up your phone. Switch out your, some foods. Make sure that you're eating really, really well. Stop buying junk food and that kind of thing. Make sure that you're cooking from scratch, cooking fresh. Be more present in your life. I think that's the most,
because they're all small things, but they all add together.
They do
to boost your life.
That's
almost.
Right.
But we always say 80-20, because then if you get too hooked up on what am I eating, I'm not present all the time. We always say that
absolutely.
You have to have 80-20, and if you want a Coke,
have a Coke.
Have a Coke.
Absolutely.
If you want to binge your TV show because you've had a long day at work and maybe reading's not right for you that night, go for it. But it's those small changes. Something I try and not do anymore is the first thing I do when I wake up is go on my phone. I just try and get out of bed.
Good.
And open my window. And it's those tiny small I will then go on my phone.
Yeah.
But I'm up out of the bed. I've had a bit of fresh air. And then I'll go on my phone when I'm actually making a tea in the morning.
Excellent.
Tiny change.
Yeah.
You're not giving up the thing you want to do, i.e. scroll on your phone, and you're not saying you're this wonderful person who doesn't have to look at their phone the first 3 hours of the day, because you got to get to work and you got to get the train.
That's it, yeah.
But it's those small things you can do.
It is.
That 80-20.
It is 80-20. And also, if you're on your 20, you're having a drink, or you're having a burger and chips and a Coke or whatever it is that floats your boat, don't beat yourself up about it. Enjoy it. Guilt is the worst emotion. It's so toxic. Nobody else can feel it. If you feel guilty, it's not going to impact anyone other than yourself.
No.
And it will make that burger and chips not taste quite so good.
Then what was the point in having it?
Exactly.
You're doing the 20, but you might as well just be doing the 100% then, because if you're not going to enjoy when you are a little bit cheeky and having a burger and whatever.
Absolutely.
Or scrolling on your phone. What was the point then?
Exactly. And if it brings you joy, it can't be all that bad.
Exactly. Also, you can find these days good burgers.
You can. There are healthy burgers out there.
There are healthy burgers out there. And healthy food is also yummy, people.
It is. Healthy food is great. And and you can do, and colourful. That's what fun. I like about healthy food is the colour, the amount of colour you get. I can't bear a beige dinner.
Beige food makes me quite upset. Unless I'm a little bit hungover. Which is usually the 20, okay? But beige, no, I just can't. But I'm lucky that I live with Debs, who is just a whole food lady.
Your mum is a great cook and a nurturer.
Yeah, she is, and cooking is her love language, always has been, amongst many others. She's a very lovable person. But
she is.
Don't stress. So I'm going to end it now on, I will do a little post, if all okay with you, on potentially websites, books, list of remedies, and I will post that on my Instagram so that it stays there and everyone can, find it when needed. Yeah, 100%. Because I'm sure you could list tons right now, but probably best if people can have it there to pick from.
We can put something together.
But what I'm going to end this on is we can maybe both give a last bit of like the vibe from this thing and for what people should take from the episode. And mine would be get talking, whether that's to a book or to a person, and start putting yourself first, whether that's going to see a homeopath, picking up a remedy, or getting outside first thing in the morning. They can be as small and as big, but the small will usually tend to leading to those bigger things, I think.
Yeah, I think that's very true. My takeaway message would be that through the worst circumstances in life, good things come.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it is a door closes and that door can be very lonely for a long time, but another door does open.
Mm-hmm. Will open.
Yeah.
And you'll find it.
You will.
Oh,
you will.
Okay. That's the perfect end. I love that. That was beautiful sentiment. Wow. Thank you so much for coming on, Jenny. This has been a wonderful conversation. I always knew it would be, and I always knew we would chatter away. And to be honest, we could go for a lot longer.
We probably could.
But also a personal thank you just from me for being the most wonderful person and homeopath to me.
Wow. And a thank you to you for always taking your remedies.
Yeah, taking my remedies, coming to see you, texting you when I've got a problem, not shying away from my physical and emotional problems.
Absolutely.
And we can all do it. We can all do it.
We absolutely can.
Go find your Jenny.
We can. Yeah.
Anyway, thank you so much.
Such a pleasure, Frankie. Thank you.
Bye, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of Lost and Found with Frankie. If it's resonated with you, or if you've taken something from this episode, or if you've just sat down and enjoyed it, I'd be so grateful if you could rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Hit that follow button, and if you're watching me over on YouTube, please give it a like and subscribe. I really want to reach as many young people and teens who are dealing with grief, as I know firsthand how much hearing conversations like this can help. So if you know someone who could benefit from what we've talked about here today, please give it a share with them too. And come say hello on Instagram and TikTok at Lost and Found with Frankie. So thank you again for being in this space here with me, and I'll see you next time.